Someone asked how we came up with ideas for locations and characters in Fallout New Vegas. It's a great question, and I thought I'd use this as an opportunity to make a video response instead of just a typed response. So on Fallout New Vegas, it's sort of a mix between stuff that I developed as the project director and lead designer, and then the stuff that all the other designers came up with. For each region of the game, the map of Fallout New Vegas was divided up into, I'm going to say, 24 or so different regions, and those regions would be A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and then B1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that would sort of go on. Actually, I think it did wind up about 24. And so there were each of these regions, and we had, based on Fallout 3, we plotted out a density, a target density. And that target density was based off of when we sort of looked at the maps of Fallout 3 and how many things were in each area. We said, okay, this is like how far things are away from each other. This is how far you can see a landmark from another location. So that's how we planned out the density of the world. As far as what was in the locations and the ideas for them, there were a couple of ways of going about this. Sometimes people would just have ideas for, I wanna have an area like this. I want to have, like the casino ideas. Those were pretty much John Gonzalez, who was our creative lead on Fallout New Vegas, and he was really into researching all of the Rat Pack era Vegas stuff. Thought that stuff was really cool. So he did a bunch of research and he came up with those ideas for that stuff. And then the other designers on the team gave their feedback on ways they would like to interpret those casinos or those families or things they wanted to change and stuff like that. But it would start with John, and we would give our feedback, and then the other designers would sort of go buck wild on it. Other times, what I would do, especially with a lot of the wilderness areas, like the bigger wilderness areas, is I would look at what was actually there in the real world. So if you don't know this, Fallout New Vegas used U.S. Geological Survey data as the foundation, scaled way down. I mean, that's not one-to-one. You can't really walk from the California border to Vegas in 30 minutes. So we used that map and scaled it down, but I would actually look at what is in this location in the real world, and is there something we could base a location from Fallout on. So for example, Helios 1, there is a for real, I don't know if it's currently active, but there's a solar array there. It's not actually like Helios 1. Helios 1 is based off of, I want to say, California Solar 1, which is in Barstow, somewhere around there. But it's based off that pattern where they all kind of surround and reflect in on one like solar tower. So I thought that looked really cool, and that'd be a great landmark. Like you could see that from way far away. Like, great, that's a great landmark, especially in a first-person game, open world exploration. Having a big landmark is very important. So that was really striking. And I saw that when I was driving out to Barstow, I think, and then I thought, oh wow, there's also a place like that off of the, whatever the friggin' freeway going up on that side near the Colorado River. Let's put something there that's like that. And so that sort of generated the idea of maybe there's like a super laser weapon inside of it that could be like a big cool moment in the game. And also that Novak, that area just south of there, that was actually one of our first areas. And the idea for that location, it was similarly, we wanted to have a big landmark that was really obvious and cool looking. So I really love the Cabazon dinosaurs. And so I'm like, cool, that's weird desert. Weird desert things were something that we talked about early in development as being like a kind of a neat thing. There's so many weird things out in the desert in the American Southwest. And giant thermometer You got the giant thermometer, and you also have the dinosaurs at Cabazon. So we combined those. So you had the dinosaur with, the T-Rex with the huge thermometer, and that became Novak. So you see this huge dinosaur, and you kind of got to go and see what the hell that is, because it's so weird. And then, we got to put a sniper up there because that's just cool. Gotta. So there'd be ideas like that. Also, Quarry Junction, there's a quarry there. Like there's just a quarry there, and the idea of having a bunch of drag lines, like those big machines that stick up over the edge of the quarry, those are again really prominent. And I thought, hey, if a player looks up over these hills and sees these big drag lines, they might be like, what's going on over there? Let me go take a look. Black Mountain, there are actually a bunch of satellite arrays up in that part south of Las Vegas proper, and great, yeah, huge satellite array. Like you'd see a bunch of satellite dishes. What the hell is going on up there? So in a lot of cases, it was like, look at what's there, see if that sparks an idea for a physical landmark that can be turned into something really cool. In other cases, I know I'm going a long time, just deal with it. Sometimes I would have a really sort of general idea for a location. So Vault 22, I think all I said really to Jesse Farrell, who wound up being the designer for it, is I said, I want Vault 22 to be a plant vault. I want it to look really pretty, I mean, scary, but also kind of beautiful inside and very different from other vaults. I think I gave him a little bit more direction than that, but like everything else in there, I mean, he designed and scripted that whole thing. I just had like the basic idea. Vault 34, the basic idea came from, I think Avalon actually wrote in the Fallout Bible a long time ago, like Vault 34 is the one where everybody has a gun. And I thought, let's have that vault in here. And so, okay, we just have to pick where we want to put it, and then what we want to do with it. And I think Sydney Wolfram and I kind of worked out, and I know people will hate us for this, but just suck it up. Wanted it to be kind of like the Glow, in a lot of ways, in the sense that the Glow was an area that you had a constant low-level radiation and a constant sense of unease being in the place. And I wanted it to be, in some ways, I did want it to be kind of confusing. You learn in Fallout 3 and New Vegas to rely very heavily on your compass to tell you where enemies are, and Vault 34 kind of screws that up. Because levels are stacked and creatures are sort of like all up on top of each other, it's really hard to sort out if they're above you or below you. A lot of doors that open and close. Totally intentional monster closets. Just tough. It's like one of the only places in the game we have monster closets, so just tough. Deal with it. And you get a bunch of cool stuff at the end. It was also supposed to evoke like kind of the Sierra Army Depot feeling of when you manage to actually get to the bottom of that thing, and you're like, yeah, and you just roll out with, miniguns and all this other stuff. So it was supposed to feel like, oh my god, I got down to the bottom of this and I can just haul all this stuff out. Awesome. And it's almost like a struggle to just haul it out without getting irradiated to death. And then like Vault 11, I told Eric Fenstermaker, I said, I think it'd be neat if one of these places if like Vault 11 had a lottery, like a Shirley Jackson's The Lottery sort of feel to it, where somebody gets, whoever's the overseer, you don't want to be the overseer because you wind up getting killed or something. But it was like pretty broad. And then, then the designer, like Eric, just took it and made it into this really awesome thing. So that's pretty much how a lot of places got designed. There are specifics that we can go into with every place, but it would usually start with something really high level for me, and then the individual designer would just go buck wild, and we would all give feedback, and if we thought like, that's a cool idea, man. Like if we thought it was getting weird or something, or if they thought my idea was just crap, they would tell me usually. I hope. Characters, specifically the stuff I was responsible for in New Vegas was the companions. And that was pretty much it. Sometimes I would suggest certain characters and the region design constraints, like I think maybe the NCR, some of the NCR officers, like high-ranking dudes at McCarran, and maybe some other places, like Crocker. I think maybe I said like, yeah, this guy kind of has to be here, or like the King. I kind of said like he has to be a guy. But Jesse Farrell like made that dude really what he was and wrote all of his like cool dialogue and all that stuff. And but no, the companions. With the companions, the way I looked at it was, what are factions that haven't really been explored recently? So like Followers of the Apocalypse, which is one of the reasons I wanted to have Arcade in there, because I've always thought that group was really neat, but you don't really hear a whole lot about them after Fallout 1. And you don't get necessarily a companion from them. Super mutants, I think, are cool, but so for any faction that I thought had already been pretty well represented, I thought, how can we explore a different aspect of that faction? So Veronica is a scribe who is, punchy. She's a punchy scribe. So when you think of like Star Paladin Cross is real bossy. Like she's real Brotherhood of Steel in a very sort of, that is what you kind of think of when you think of the Brotherhood of Steel. So with Veronica, she's supposed to be kind of she wasn't made as an inversion, like, this ain't your daddy's Brotherhood of Steel, but she's supposed to show a different aspect of them. Kind of partially an outsider, and also like, I'm a scribe and I, go around and punch people and I wear a hoodie and like all this other goofy stuff. Lily was showing some kind of terrible side effects of what it means to be a Nightkin, because you encounter people like Davison or Keen who are crazy, and have a lot of, and Tabitha, who have a lot of personality issues, that are the result of them being Nightkin, but you don't have to go through it with them. Whereas with Lily, you kind of get some insight into, like, it's not fun and jokes all the time to be schizophrenic. Like, this is actually kind of a big problem. And that hopefully helps you sympathize with some of the Nightkin that are at Jacobstown. And then, trying to think of some others. Like Eddie, I've always liked Eyebots. Like, I liked both the original floating eye robots from Fallout, like those little dudes with those guys with the fin heads. And then I liked Bethesda's, those little radio guys that would fly, those Eyebots that would fly around the wasteland. And so but they're always so wimpy. And so I thought, what if stuff that happens in Broken Steel there was something going on there where there was a Duraframe model that, you didn't just shoot a BB gun at and he explodes into a million pieces. And he goes on this incredible journey, and he could be this little kind of cute guy in a way. I mean, I do think that iRobots are cute. And that's something that I think Avalon and all the people that worked on Lonesome Road really built upon. Like, they really made Eddie, because there's a lot of Lonesome Road stuff about Eddie, and they really made Eddie feel like really emotive, and a lot of people really connected and felt a lot of a strong bond with Eddie as a character. So that was really cool. Trying to think if there's any other big stuff, but yeah, usually it's just kind of Cass. I thought it would be neat to see the child of John Cassidy. I really liked Cassidy as an NPC in Fallout 2, and I thought that he was a really interesting, like, he's kind of just a regular guy in some ways, but he's like a hard ass. He's like this hard ass, and he's got problems, and but he's in some ways a regular guy. And so Cass, Rose of Sharon Cassidy, is also kind of like a regular woman she's running a caravan business, but it stinks and people suck around her. And she's not a perfect person by any means, but she's pretty loyal and tough. And so that was just, hey, cool character, and I thought it'd be neat if Avalon wrote that character. So there you go. Sometimes it really is. If I think a writer will excel with a certain sort of character, then sometimes I, like, actually, I worked with John on the Survivalist, and I thought that because John, I'd read some prose and stuff that, like stories and things that John had written previously, and I thought maybe John would like to write the Survivalist logs, and I thought people would enjoy reading something like that. And thankfully, they turned out really awesome. So, John Gonzalez, way to go. So yeah, that's a lot of rambling, but hopefully that gives you some insight into the process of how that worked on New Vegas. I mean, it really is different on each project, and even on the DLCs. Each DLC was not necessarily like other DLCs or like New Vegas, and it's different on South Park. It's going to be different on Project Eternity. It is already different on Project Eternity. So sort of mix of people who contribute and the balance of stuff changes. But inspiration can come from a lot of places. Usually, the bottom line is, does it accomplish the goals that we want it to accomplish? Um, if we make a location, is it really striking? Is the landmark really, if not recognizable, it's something that you sort of latch onto and say, I want to see what else is there. Actually, another good example would be, I wanted people to go to Mojave Outpost. And so we put that huge metal sculpture of the ranger shaking hands so that you would see it and go, are those like 50, 100-foot tall sculptures of rangers shaking hands? You kind of have to be able to see something in it that intrigues you to pull you towards it. And whatever goals you want to accomplish in the area, you have to make sure that the design supports that. So sometimes the initial idea that I might have doesn't accomplish that, and people are like, dude, this sounds stinky as hell. Let's do something else. Hopefully, I listen to them. Whatever idea it is, it's just focused around accomplishing a goal, and that's hopefully when we're working well together, that's what we all work towards. But the process varies a little bit, but that's the basic gist. Hope that helps.